Hey Dressel community, this is Dr. Schoenekase. I just want to give you a little small recap of all the wonderful things we did this past school year. A lot to share, but not a lot of time. So stick with me as we do this real quick, all right? All right, so the first slide came out of our first grade classroom, Mrs. Straszewski's class. And this was a little bit student guided and student led as they learned about how the brain works and how they connected their learning of high frequency words. And so the students talked to Mrs. Straszewski about how does the brain work. And so they did a little research trying to understand how those all neurons connect with each other and things like that. So that big picture is represents the brain and the neurons in the brain. And if you look below that, that is the number of high frequency words that they have learned as a class. And so every time a student learned one, they went out and made a little tick mark. And as we sit here on May 10th, they are still adding to this. So pretty amazing work by this first grade classroom. All right, the next thing that was a big part of kind of our work this year is that sense of belonging that we want our students and staff to all have at Dressel. We want them to know that they are heard and listened to, and each one of them is special. And so this was just an activity that you would see in different classrooms throughout the building about what makes you or your family special. So it gives kids a chance to share on their own terms about themselves, their families, their celebrations, their cultures, and just who they are as a person. And so we just want to be able to connect our kids with each other, with adults, and just anybody else around the building. So just a neat small activity at the beginning of the year for our kids to get to know each other. So one thing we're working at continuously is students owning Dressel. You know, they spend a ton of time at Dressel, and we want them to know that they're valued and have a big piece of it. And so we really worked hard at student leadership this year. And by this picture, this is a picture of Coach Thompson and Mrs. Lane working with a group of students on our environmental crew. And so they did things like they went outside and worked on keeping our campus looking beautiful, the inside as well. At this particular time, this group was working on, and you've seen it in the principal note, was a little piece about recycling and just Earth Day and things like that. And so they spent a number of weeks meeting in the morning before school got started to kind of plan some events and some different activities for our school. Again, you know, very much led by the students, but we had some student ambassador groups. We also had a celebration crew. The celebration crew went around and kind of celebrated everybody's birthday or big things that were going on around our school. And lastly, we had our media leaders who kind of helped with taking pictures and things around the building to, again, keep everybody in the know of what's happening at Dressel. All right, so we're always trying to move in that direction of personalized learning, and this is just one example from personalized learning this year. In the board report, I talked about the My Savers, which looked at social emotional learning of our kids and how that looked for each individual kid. Again, it's just one tool to make sure we are reaching all of our kids in all areas. But this was iReady we use as a part of our math curriculum, and the kids take 3 diagnostic tests throughout the year just to kind of measure growth. And then in between that, we have what's called My Path, and it's a personalized pathway that's focused on where they are at in their math learning. And so this is just kind of one report from a student, and it just kind of shows their growth throughout the year and kind of how they've exceeded a little bit of theirs. And so teachers can use this, kids can review their data to kind of really know where they are in their learning. So again, just another tool for us to access to help kids, you know, own their learning and own where they are at Dressel. And the last thing I want to highlight, a big shout out to Mrs. Brandy Cobble. She's a 5th grade teacher at Dressel, and she was nominated by her colleagues as Dressel's Teacher of the Year. And then short term later, she was nominated as the District Teacher of the Year. So pretty amazing accomplishment. First district teacher of the year at Dressel. And so, again, just a huge shout out to her and her work, but to all teachers. Brandy just is a good representation of the staff at Dressel and how they pour into our kids on a daily basis. So again, this is just a small snapshot. I know teachers are constantly sending things home from what's going on in the classroom, whether it be on Seesaw, whether it's on their Facebook page, any means. But this is just my way of highlighting some bigger things throughout the school, so you guys can see. But we're looking to wrap up the school year in a fun, great way, and then start off next year in the same way and really dig deep with all of our kids. So have a great summer, everybody, and we will see you in August.